10 countries once thought it was a smart move to exclude Singaporeans, but now their economies are struggling, and they're reportedly seeking reconciliation. These nations are desperately trying to reverse their terrible mistake after realizing how vital Singaporean talent is to their success. Number 10. Iran. It's unusual to hear of Iran turning away travelers from Singapore, but that's exactly what happened in recent years. Behind closed doors, diplomatic tensions grew, fueled by Singapore's perceived friendliness with certain Western powers. Iranian authorities swiftly closed their doors, dashing the hopes of many Singaporean tourists eager to explore Iran's vibrant bazaars and ancient ruins. This unexpected move also significantly impacted the business world. Singaporean companies that relied on Iranian oil and technology suddenly found themselves in limbo. Contracts that once promised growth and prosperity became worthless overnight, making investors anxious about the unpredictability of international politics. For Iran, the sudden trade freeze meant missing out on the reliability and innovation for which Singaporean businesses were known. Beyond government and business, ordinary people also felt the sting. Singaporeans planning cultural adventures or family visits were left scrambling for alternatives. Iranian tour guides and small business owners missed the lively presence of Singaporean visitors who had begun to appreciate Iran's rich heritage. Both sides hoped the restrictions would be temporary, learning how quickly the world can change and how much can be lost when bridges are burned. Number 9. Nigeria. It might surprise some to learn that Nigeria once restricted access to Singaporeans, but the story is full of unexpected twists. Officials claimed it was to combat passport fraud and irregular immigration, instantly creating barriers for those eager to explore Africa's most vibrant economy. Suddenly, travelers and businesspeople from Singapore had their plans disrupted, cut off from opportunities that once seemed limitless in Lagos and beyond. For Singaporean companies, the shock was immediate. Operations in Nigeria's lucrative oilfields and cutting-edge fintech sector came to a screeching halt. Deals that had taken months to build disappeared overnight, leaving both Singaporean and Nigerian partners frustrated and searching for new paths forward. It was a stark reminder of how quickly the rules of international business can change and how much can be lost in the crossfire. Beyond boardrooms and business deals, the effects were felt on the streets. Nigerian tourism promoters watched as a steady stream of adventurous Singaporean travelers vanished, taking with them stories, smiles, and much-needed revenue. As time passed, regrets began to set in. The connections once taken for granted were sorely missed, and many started to wonder if shutting out Singaporeans had cost Nigeria more than it ever expected. Number 8. Thailand. Few could imagine Thailand, a favorite destination for Singaporeans, closing its borders to them. But diplomatic tensions can change everything in a heartbeat. Political disagreements over regional trade policies and maritime boundaries escalated, leading Thai authorities to introduce tough new restrictions for Singaporean visitors. Beaches once crowded with friendly faces from Singapore grew noticeably quieter, and the energy between the two countries shifted. Singaporean businesses, especially those involved in Thailand's booming hospitality and retail industries, felt the consequences immediately. Hotel partnerships, investment deals, and joint ventures faced sudden reviews or cancellations, leaving business owners frustrated and scrambling to protect their interests. For Thailand, the loss of reliable Singaporean business partners meant missed opportunities for growth and innovation. For ordinary people, the ban was felt in everyday life. Families with roots in both countries postponed long-anticipated reunions, and students enrolled in exchange programs saw their dreams put on hold. Thai street vendors, resort operators, and cultural sites all noticed the absence of Singaporean tourists. The episode served as a reminder that even the strongest friendships can encounter rocky patches, and that the value of connection is never truly appreciated until it is gone. Number 7. Turkey. Turkey's relationship with Singapore took an unexpected turn when a diplomatic dispute sent shockwaves through both countries. It began quietly with officials disagreeing over regional security alliances but quickly escalated to a ban on Singaporean travelers. Suddenly, the allure of Istanbul's bustling markets and Cappadocia's surreal landscapes was out of reach, leaving both tourists and businesspeople scrambling for answers. Singaporean businesses felt the impact almost immediately. Conferences and exhibitions where innovative minds from both nations would meet were abruptly cancelled. Ongoing deals in technology and logistics stalled, creating a sense of uncertainty that rippled through boardrooms. For many Turkish partners, the sudden absence of Singaporean collaborators was a wake-up call to just how valuable that partnership had become. Beyond the world of commerce, ordinary people felt the absence in quieter but meaningful ways. Cultural festivals that once brought together artists, chefs, and performers from both countries disappeared from the calendar. Students eager to experience life abroad were caught in the crossfire, their dreams of international friendship put on indefinite hold. Looking back, many in Turkey wondered if the cost of the ban was far greater than any short-term political victory. Number 6. Kuwait. Kuwait's ban on Singaporeans came as a shock, rooted in deep differences over religious and cultural policies that suddenly became too large to ignore. With little warning, entry doors that had welcomed Singaporean travelers and professionals swung shut, leaving a trail of confusion and disappointment. The city's gleaming skyscrapers and historic souks became distant dreams for those who had hoped to experience or work in this Gulf nation. For the business community, the move was especially hard-hitting. Singaporean engineers and oil industry experts, key players in several joint ventures, found their projects frozen without warning. Plans for collaborative growth and technological progress were left hanging in the balance, frustrating both Kuwaiti officials and Singaporean executives alike. Even direct flights between the two countries were halted, making an already difficult situation nearly impossible to navigate. But perhaps the most lasting impact was felt in everyday exchanges. Students and tourists lost the chance to discover new perspectives and forge friendships, while families with ties to both nations were left longing for reunions that suddenly felt far away. In the end, Kuwait's abrupt decision to bar Singaporeans was a reminder of how fragile international connections can be and how much both sides can lose when dialogue turns into distance. Number 5. Morocco. In a move that surprised many, Morocco decided to temporarily ban Singaporeans, driven by political disagreements over international diplomatic votes. The sudden shift left avid travelers dreaming of wandering the blue streets of Chefchaouen or exploring ancient Marrakesh with nothing but cancelled plans. It was a decision that sent ripples through both countries, reminding everyone how swiftly politics can shape personal destinies. Morocco's luxury tourism industry felt the loss almost instantly. Hotels, tour operators, and local guides who had begun to rely on the steady stream of curious and adventurous Singaporean visitors saw bookings dry up. Meanwhile, Singaporean investors and business leaders looking to expand into North Africa found negotiations put on indefinite hold, with promising projects stuck at the starting line. Perhaps the hardest hit were students and academics caught in the middle. Once flourishing educational exchanges and collaborative research came to a standstill, stalling innovative ideas and budding friendships. Both sides were left with a lingering sense of what might have been, as opportunities for growth and understanding faded into the background, replaced by the silence of missed connections and mutual regret. Number 4. Pakistan. Pakistan's sudden decision to block Singaporeans was rooted in rising tensions over intelligence sharing and security policies, creating an immediate ripple across diplomatic channels. The news took many by surprise as Singaporeans who once traveled freely for work and adventure found the doors firmly closed. Hopes of exploring the vibrant bazaars of Lahore or the historic forts of Karachi were dashed, and what once seemed like a bridge between two distant nations became an unexpected wall. The impact on business was just as sharp. Ambitious infrastructure projects, including Singaporean-led construction and port management deals, ground to a halt almost overnight. Companies that had poured resources and trust into Pakistan's growth watched plans dissolve, while local partners scrambled to adjust to new realities. The sudden freeze on collaboration revealed just how crucial international trust is in building and sustaining economic momentum. In the skies, the consequences were even more visible. Singapore Airlines, which had long connected the two countries, saw key routes suspended, frustrating frequent flyers and business travelers alike. For both nations, the absence of direct connections became a daily reminder of what was lost, highlighting how even a single policy shift can disrupt lives and relationships in ways no one expected. Number 3. Israel. Israel's ban on Singaporeans was born from heightened diplomatic tensions, especially following revelations about defense cooperation that made headlines in both countries. The sudden announcement sent shockwaves through communities used to open exchange, turning a once welcoming destination into a place of uncertainty. Singaporeans who had long admired Israel's history and innovation suddenly found themselves excluded, their travel plans suspended without warning. The impact on technology and business was swift and undeniable. Joint innovation programs, which had helped spark new ideas and foster startup growth, were abruptly put on pause. Entrepreneurs on both sides felt the sting as years of collaboration and shared ambition came to a standstill, and investors questioned whether future deals could be trusted. For many, the loss was more than financial. It was the end of a unique synergy that had benefited both countries. Cultural and religious tourism suffered in equal measure. Pilgrims and history buffs from Singapore, once regular visitors at Israel's sacred sites, found their journeys delayed indefinitely. Israeli tour guides and museums noticed the absence, missing the perspectives and curiosity Singaporean visitors brought. As months passed, both nations began to feel the true cost of closing their doors, realizing that the ban had severed more than just flights. It had also broken a line of communication and connection that once seemed unbreakable. Number 2. United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates made headlines when it abruptly banned Singaporeans, citing a heated dispute over digital banking regulations and financial transparency. For Singaporeans used to visiting the glittering skyscrapers of Dubai or the cultural marvels of Abu Dhabi, the ban was both shocking and frustrating. Overnight, travel plans were cancelled, and a steady flow of business visitors simply vanished, casting a shadow over one of the world's busiest travel corridors. The repercussions hit the business world fast and hard. Major conferences that were set to feature top Singaporean speakers disappeared from event calendars, while joint ventures in fintech and logistics ground to a halt. Investors on both sides lost millions in potential deals, and entrepreneurs found themselves stuck in a maze of red tape, wondering when the climate would change. The UAE's tech sector, which had counted on Singapore's expertise, felt its loss most acutely. Even the famed tourism industry in the UAE was not immune. High-spending Singaporean tourists who once flocked to the UAE's luxury hotels, desert safaris, and sprawling malls were suddenly missing. Local businesses, from restaurateurs to retailers, quickly noticed the dip in revenue. As weeks turned to months, it became clear that this rift was more than a diplomatic hiccup. It was a costly lesson in how quickly valuable connections can be severed over disagreements that seemed, in hindsight, easier to solve through dialogue. Number 1. Qatar. Qatar's decision to ban Singaporeans in 2025 sent shockwaves through diplomatic and business communities, especially since the two nations once enjoyed robust ties. The trigger was a heated dispute over regional airspace management and new defense agreements, issues that suddenly became non-negotiable. Singaporeans who had planned visits for business or leisure were left scrambling as the glimmering towers of Doha and the allure of the World Cup legacy slipped out of reach. The impact on business was dramatic and immediate. Joint ventures in liquefied natural gas, once the crown jewels of Qatar-Singapore cooperation, were halted overnight, with millions in contracts and investments left in limbo. Asian energy markets felt the tremors as supply chains were disrupted, and years of negotiations seemed to unravel in a matter of days. For both nations, the economic fallout was a powerful reminder of how interdependent the global marketplace truly is. But perhaps the most remarkable twist came only months later when Qatar publicly acknowledged the unintended damage the ban had caused. Officials went on record expressing regret, noting lost opportunities and strained friendships on both sides. Behind closed doors, talks began to thaw the icy relationship, proving that even the most dramatic bans can lead to moments of reflection and sometimes the hope of reconciliation. Which country on this list do you think will be the first to reopen its doors to Singaporeans, and how would that change things for both sides?